You should have a school of your means versus school of your dreams conversation. This has to be an honest conversation. Yes, you want your child to get the best education possible, but that should not come with sacrificing your family's financial stability. As a parent, you do have some idea of what your family financial budget really looks like. You know what your earning potential is for the most part at this point because you've had to make it work. So you have to have a real, honest conversation with yourself and your child of what you can truly afford. When it comes to student borrowing, we always know that thought process of how much you should borrow is a little bit different because the student may not necessarily know how much earning potential they have after they graduate, how much they're going to make at their first job, and that sort of thing. But as a parent, you probably have a good idea of what your earning potential already is. So it's important to have that honest conversation. Yes, it's hard, and sometimes it's hard to tell your child that maybe a particular school is not affordable for the family, but there are a few things you can do to help your child still maybe go to that school, but it will require letting them know it may not be the school for them because it just does not make financial sense. The due diligence and a lot of the burden to determine if you can repay that loan will rely on you. Some schools are actually in the practice of showing you or including in that financial aid package a parent plus loan amount to help pay tuition and cover that cost of attendance at that school. I don't always think that's the best practice because you do have to qualify. You actually can be denied a parent plus loan if you don't pass their credit check. If you have some issues there, you could apply with a cosigner, but it could put you in a position where you're borrowing loans that maybe you aren't able to repay or comfortably repay. I guess we should do a little bit of story time because this is an issue I've seen come up time and time and again. And I've actually seen on a financial aid package to a student who was deemed to have a zero expected family contribution. As we know, the expected family contribution is used to determine the family's ability to pay for school. The lower the expected family contribution is, the more likely they're determined to be a low-income family that has financial need. So having a zero expected family contribution generally means this family has some financial need. It may be lower income. On this particular award letter or award financial aid package, the student was awarded a $25,000 Parent Plus loan. Now, the financial aid package doesn't necessarily take into consideration that the parent will be able to qualify for this loan. On top of that, it's not necessarily taking into account the student and the family's financial situation. A $25,000 loan for one academic year, and most degree programs have a 4-year requirement or more. That's 1 year of $25,000. That could be a huge financial burden for that parent to repay. Not to mention that chances are if they're borrowing that first year, they're going to have to borrow for the other years that they're in school. So $100,000 could be a massive amount of debt, and even with flexible repayment options and other things. So Parent Plus loans do come with a risk because it's not necessarily taking into account your debt to income ratio, your ability to repay. You just have to pass the credit check as required by the U.S. Department of Education, and they're not looking at the same kind of things that a private student loan lender will look at. So just to recap, a Parent Plus loan is a federal loan offered through the Federal Student Loan Program. It is an option out there for parents of dependent undergraduate students to help cover educational costs for their child. But it's really going to come down to you as a parent of what's the best decision for you and what's the best decision for your family. I'm Elaine Rubin, Senior Contributor and Communication Specialist here at Edvisors. If there's any other questions you have on financial aid, about student loan borrowing, be sure to comment below. And don't forget to subscribe because you do not want to miss out on our videos that might answer some of the common questions you have. Thanks.